When you stand in your moment and you read something that is upsetting to you, the feeling of being upset is your indicator that you are perceiving this in a way that is very different than the source within you is perceiving it. In other words, something in your environment is happening and you are focused upon it in a way that is causing you to activate a vibration that doesn't have resonance with the vibration of your source. Now, the vibration of your source you can trust, but you don't know that until you test it. You don't know it until you are first aware that this vortex version of you exists, which includes all that you've become. It's the source energy that is within you. When you realize that this non-physical part of you exists and that it is not just the leading edge, it is the now reality of who you are, so that if in this now you are focused in a vibrational difference, you're going to feel that vibrational difference in the form of emotion. And the greater the difference, the more off the emotion feels. The more negative you feel when you feel fear, or when you feel depression, or when you feel that strong rage or anger, those emotions are indicating to you that while you have free will, certainly the right to hold the opinion that you are currently holding about whatever it is that you are thinking about or observing, the larger part of you is holding a far different opinion. And really, we can't think of a better way to get this seminar started than to have them ring a bogus alarm in the middle of a seminar where we are wanting to encourage you to listen to what's coming forth from within. And it isn't always the easiest thing to do, because what's out there where you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, it's attention getting, isn't it? It gets your attention. We didn't set them up for that. They just conspired with us to assist you in understanding in yet fuller detail that once you realize that the larger part of you exists and you deliberately tune yourself to the frequency of that larger you, there you find not just freedom from things you don't want. There you find not just the presence of the things that you do want, but you find the true vibrational essence of who you are. It's that coming home feeling, and it's that feeling of well-being. It's that feeling of confidence and security. It's that feeling of friskiness. It's that feeling of tuned in, tapped in, turned on. It's that feeling of well-being that comes from no other place. You can't buy enough to get that feeling. You can't know enough people in enough high places to get that feeling. You just can't get that feeling of balance and well-being, of physical, human thriving from any other place other than resonant, vibrational alignment with who you really are. And before you can achieve that alignment, first you got to understand that you here on the leading edge in your physical body actually have the potential of two vibrational vantage points. In other words, the source within you is always going to be offering this vibration of well-being and balance and understanding the value of that which is you, understanding the value of that which is others too. And when you get crossways of that, when you start feeling competitive, when you feel insecure, when you look at others and you think they're getting a bigger piece of the pie than they deserve, and in their getting it that they're depriving you of yours in some way, when you start feeling any of those sorts of things, you start practicing a vibration that as you keep it going will keep you to some degree separated from the resonance of well-being that is truly who you are and truly reflects and represents everything that you deserve. So we know that we are stretching you into some different ways of looking at things, because unless you are willing to accept that you are a vibrational being who lives in a vibrational universe, then you cannot begin to understand how things are happening in the way they are to you or to anyone else. In other words, until you make the conscious association between the source energy part of you and the part of you who is here focused in your physical body, you have no real guidance. you can't begin to consistently move in the direction of that which you are becoming. Most physical beings, almost as soon as they are born, begin monitoring their behavior and measuring it against the results that they get from other humans. So if you behave in a way that pleases the humans who are near you, they smile and they reward you with words and behavior. But if you displease them, you know that right away too, because they frown and they withhold and they punish. And so, without meaning to, you've been trained away from your guidance system by well-meaning others who are doing something that is virtually impossible. They're attempting to sort out all manner of manifestation and put it into piles of good and not so good and less good and really less good and terrible. They've sorted out these piles and then they join together in groups as they try to protect their piles. It's such an interesting thing, the limitation of these piles. And what we're encouraging you to do is, rather than trying to join the group with the loudest voice or even the group with the strongest influence on you for whatever reason, we're encouraging you to try to let go of the influence that others have set upon you while you reach for the influence of the source within you. We want you to realize that you were source energy before you came forth into this physical body. And a part of who you eternally are is focused now here in this body. So here you are, just like you knew you would be, sifting and sorting and expanding, coming to constant new conclusions about what would be better, how the world would be better, how government would be better, how your community would be better, how your body would feel better, how your personal circumstances would be better, how this relationship would be better, how that situation would be better, all day, every day, launching those rockets. And what we want you to know is each time you offer one of those requests, it is pure to us. In other words, we stand in your vortex receiving your request. Your inner being becomes the vibrational equivalent of each and every request that you set forth. But as we said at the beginning of our conversation here with you today, often you don't go with your rocket. You stay outside the vortex, so to speak, justifying why you need or why you want the improvement. And as you beat the drum of the injustice that you're living, I don't have enough and it's not fair, and I've never had enough and it's never been fair, and those people around me don't have enough and that's never been fair. What you do, you don't mean to, but what you do is you keep active in yourself a vibration that prevents you from joining the vibration of your desire. That's why your desire doesn't feel good to you. Your desire doesn't feel good to you when you doubt it. Your desire doesn't feel good when you don't believe it. Your desire doesn't feel good when you don't feel worthy of it. Your desire doesn't feel good when you are in a state of blame or guilt or anger or frustration. When you feel those negative emotions, what it means every single time is, oh, you launched a desire. Yes, you did. And your desire is with the larger part of you and is present tense in terms of the vibrational creation. But as long as you are feeling negative emotion, it means you're not up to speed with your desire. And that's logical in many cases, isn't it? Because what's been happening and what you've been observing is usually the reason that you're offering the vibration that you're offering. Most people are responding to what's happening around them. If someone is rude to you, maybe somebody you love, maybe somebody you don't even know, but if someone is rude to you and you observe their rudeness, you usually have a knee-jerk response to that. And if you keep it up, you're going to develop a pattern of believing that people are rude, or of believing that you are inferior in some way and attracting it. In other words, you're going to get a complex if you keep focusing upon things that keep happening and keep them active in your vibration. We understand how when you are standing in the middle of your physical world that you're interpreting through your physical senses, that a conversation about a vibrational reality that precedes all reality is not the easiest thing to hear. But you have to know that everything that is manifested was a vibrational reality first. It's vibrational, and the longer it is thought upon, the more it comes into focus, until you have this environment here where there are so many of you holding similar thoughts and expectations about things that you have a rather stable platform from which you're expanding, that you are calling reality. But we want to put emphasis upon the from which you are expanding part rather than the stable reality part, because if you get too focused upon what is, you move very slowly into what really is. We want you to know that this vibrational reality, this vortex where law of attraction is holding all things that you have asked for and the larger part of you, we want you to understand that that is present tense. And we want to say to you in a way that may appeal to your logic that if it were not reality and if it were not present tense, you wouldn't feel the tug of not going. And you wouldn't feel the thrill of going. In other words, the very emotion that you feel must help you to understand that there are two vibrational versions that are having a relationship, and your emotions equal the relationship that those two vibrational versions are having. So when you have a feeling of dissatisfaction, what that means is your life in your physical human form has caused you to ask for something that you are not up to speed with. You're more of a vibrational match to the absence of it than you are the presence of it, but the other side of the wave is brought into focus when the other side of the wave is brought into focus. You get that? Do you know how when you really don't want something, how you really want something? In other words, if you really, 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 really don't want it, then you really, 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 really do want it. You know that, don't you? If someone you didn't know called you on the telephone and said, "Hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I will never call you again." You would say, "That will be all right with me." But if someone you really care about tells you that, it's not really all right with you. In other words, this other side of the wave, you get that. So when you know what you don't want, and therefore you offer this vibration of what you do want. Now, we haven't said this before, but you're ready for it. So let's go to this new place relative to this. Focus on the idea of this vibrational wave. And start with the idea that as a problem is coming into focus, a solution is coming into focus too. In other words, that makes sense, doesn't it? Knowing what I don't want, knowing what I do want. But the question is, where is the perceiver of this situation in relationship to the problem and the solution? You with us? So we have a problem, and therefore we have a solution. You could also say, we have a solution, and therefore we have a problem. In other words, equal sides of the wave. So here's the question. Where is the perceiver in relationship to the problem and the solution? So now consider this. In your situation, at all times, there are two perceivers. There's the you in your human form perceiver, and there's the you, the inner being, God source, God force, soul, perceiver. Well, where source is in this equation is in alignment with what is wanted, because there is no resistance in the vibration of source. So when the desire is there, source is a perfect immediate match to it, and therefore it immediately is present tense. The question that this gathering wants to ask of you and help you to ask of yourself and answer is, biggest question that will ever come to you, where are you as a perceiver in this problem-solution equation? If you are a closer match to the problem, and often you are at the beginning of the launch, you feel the resistance, you feel the strong negative emotion. The more you, as the perceiver, become a match to the solution, the more satisfaction you begin to feel. Make sense? The less discord that you feel. We've been saying this to you in a lot of different ways, but the thing that we so want you to get, leading edge rascals that you are, we want you to understand that as this problem is coming into focus, the solution is too. And you get to choose where in this span